Do I look good?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Let's start off with an acapella here.
Let's just test the audio levels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Put the headphones on so you can hear it.
I mean, I guess, yeah. All right, let's
Okay.
go.
So audio level test.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who's starting?
Do you want me to
yeah,
choose
you
the song?
choose a song.
Choose a song. Man, I don't know. Do you know? Do you know this one song called like Stargirl? Do you know any lyrics from that one?
I don't actually remember the lyrics.
I'm gonna gag ruined. Do you know any lyrics from the song Weatherman?
I don't want to be another weatherman.
Sound like a walking advertisement. Make my beats real good, then I write it. Then roll that green, then we light it. Take a puff, pass, and I'm
gone.
record at the studio, make it at home.
Yeah, I remember some of the words.
Oh, there you go, there you go.
Okay, wait, hang on.
Stream Weatherman out now on all platforms, as well as Waybright.
Are you just self-promoting?
I have a message for you. 2 months from today, whatever date it is that you're watching this video, you will be in a better situation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Red Greens Productions channel. Here with another episode of the Rewriters Room. Welcome to episode 3. Right, 3? Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah. 3. As you can see, probably by this whiteboard here, if you're on the video version. If not, and you're on any other podcast service, hello.
Hello.
Today we're covering The Incredible Hulk from 2008. Now you're here today with your host.
Put that up there. Oh my God. Keep going.
You're here today with your incredible, might I say, incredible host, Connor Gregory. You're also here.
and
He's just the co-host.
I'm
He's
sorry.
the co-host.
Whoa.
We haven't finalized that part of the contract yet.
He's right. But it was my idea, so. And whose name is on the Google account?
He's got me there. All right. Well, you keep drawing while I introduce everyone. So today we're still doing the Incredible Hulk today. Now, this was the third Marvel movie, right? Third. Second. No, I thought Iron Man 2 was second.
Iron Man 2 comes out after.
That's right. This was the second Marvel movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and unfortunately, the only Hulk movie within the MCU, which is kind of a shame because I kind of want to see more solo Hulk content, which I know we are getting this week with She-Hulk releasing. And that's kind of why we're doing this. We want to review this before we go into She-Hulk. Now, I want to ask real quick.
I'm back on the mic.
Yes, you are. Hello.
All I had was The Incredible and then from 2008. And it's not even like I tried. I just wrote them normally. That took me way too long to just write normal-looking words.
Now, real quick, before we get into anything related to Hulk, I have two things I want to bring up. Now, my first, I did mention She-Hulk coming out this week, and I want to know. I have my opinions on it. How are you feeling for She-Hulk coming out? Like, are you excited for it? Is it something that you want to watch from the MCU? How do you feel?
Now, as a person
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't love the MCU
Yes.
and thinks, especially their shows, look like hot garbage,
Mm-hmm.
where they're just taking a thinly veiled idea that wouldn't even support enough for a feature-length movie, let alone an entire 6 to 8 episode series. This is the most excited I've been for an MCU show altogether.
Really?
So okay.
Let me ask. Can I ask why? Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah,
Tell me why.
well, first of all, Wong's in this, so like I gotta love it.
It's Wong.
It's-
The Wong CU is the best.
I love I keep seeing those posts now where people are just like, why is he?
Wong's like the glue of everything.
I love the actor Benedict Wong, and like his character is actually like one of the sidekick characters to main characters, where I think I actually almost sometimes prefer him than the main character.
Mhm.
Like sometimes I'm like I kind of like Wong better than Doctor Strange sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's so funny he shows up anyway. But anyways, and a lot of people are probably gonna be like, "Oh, is it because Daredevil?" I do not care about Daredevil.
You haven't even finished the third season.
I
you're
haven't
telling
even
me.
finished the
Which is a crime, by the way. Everyone who's watching this, if you've not watched Daredevil from Netflix, it's now on Disney Plus. Watch the first 2 seasons, which are good. there's like videos that cover Defenders. I'm personally not a big fan of Defenders, but watch season 3. That is peak television, and I am a television connoisseur, as you know. I mean, my dream job is to be a fucking showrunner. So
Is that
like,
different from a showrunner? A fucking showrunner?
yeah, dude. It's
Well,
a showrunner that fucks.
No.
Oh shit, yo,
Oh,
dab me
dude,
up
dab
on
me
that
up
one.
on that one.
Ooh.
Ooh.
We've had crisp ones before. That was a good one.
That was. I hope that picked up well.
Oh, it definitely did.
Anyway, I think this. It just looks. This is one of the. I don't know. It just looks like it's fun
Mm-hmm.
in a way that won't annoy me.
Yeah.
Because like, whenever there's comedy in some of the Marvel stuff, it's like it's expected, but it also ruins the tone in the moments because every Marvel movie has to be a world-ending event.
We had talked about this. Like, I know you used specifically the example of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I think the comedy ruins Thor: Love and Thunder because it's literally a god who's Gore the God Butcher is his name, and there like every other line is something to like they're trying to make you laugh at. I'm like, this guy is like. There's like a thing in the comics that Rob from Comics Explained pointed out. He tortured the god of torture so much that the god of torture gave up like the positions of like and like knowledge and whereabouts of other gods.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Where was
and
that in this movie?
Christian Bale's fine.
I love Christian Bale.
I
And
did
actually,
not
I wanna
fear him
go
at
on
all.
record. I know you said it's a very you really don't like the movie much. I still actually like Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh,
I would
think
not say it's the best Thor by any means. I still think that title goes to Ragnarok here as per our Thor episode. But I will say it's a close tie for second or third. And then that goes between Thor 1 and this.
It's my third favorite for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask your second favorite or your first favorite. I'm assuming it's Thor: The Dark World.
Oh yeah, of course. But I don't know. Quickie on that on Thor: Love and Thunder because I don't want to get into it on this. Just that I think if you took out the comedy, the egregious comedy, the
overbearing
of
story
comedy,
of those, like,
it makes the movie like a lot better because it doesn't ruin the moments of tension and like true like risk and whatnot. And I think it's like a much better movie. I think they just tried a bit too much
with the comedy aspect.
Yeah, but anyways, getting off
All
that.
Right, backstory.
She-Hulk.
Why are you excited?
This doesn't look world-ending. It's just like this unassuming, average everyday person suddenly gets powers thrusted upon her, and her cousin is just like, "I'm gonna try to help you figure this out," and then she's also trying to like struggle to have a job and whatnot, and it just looks like street level. I'm gonna fight some villains, and and it looks fun, and also. In the comic, there's like famous characters for breaking the fourth wall. Deadpool's like everyone's first example, but She-Hulk also breaks the fourth wall in the comics, so they're doing that in this show.
I saw that in the trailer. I was actually very happy that they're straight up including that. And that's so funny.
Genuinely,
to me.
it like I kind of chuckled when I saw the trailer where she like turns at the camera and says, "He doesn't mean that," and
then he
Bruce
looks
is
and he's like,
literally
"What
just
the hell are you talking to?"
What?
I liked that. The other thing that I also really liked from the trailer too, which I think is an interesting dynamic.
By the way, I forgot. We talked about Daredevil. I don't not care about Daredevil. I like what's his name?
Charlie Cox.
I like Charlie Cox.
He's born for the role. I gotta
actor.
be honest.
Cool adaptation. I kind of fell off the Netflix TV universe. I'm excited to watch, eventually watch season 3 and then Born Again and see him in this stuff. But I'm just saying Daredevil doesn't make or break the show for me.
No, I completely agree. I
think makes the show for me.
Well,
here's
I saw that. No, I think actually the one vibe or dynamic or thing that they brought in that I really like is everyone knew Abomination and Emil Blonsky was going to be back in this, right? I mean, that was plastered already. I think it's interesting though that they shed it even more. Not only is She-Hulk going to be the first lawyer for like a superhero division to like, as like a public defender for superheroes or like against villains or for villains or whatever, that her client is straight up Emil Blonsky, right? I think that's such a cool, like, because in a normal court, I mean, you have a personal conflict with the case, you can't take it. There's personal interest in it. I found it almost kind of comical when she outright brought that up to the director dude, and he was like, "All right, don't care."
Interest. He's like, "It just doesn't matter."
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, okay." Like I don't know. I thought that was kind of like
also
it's funny, but it's also like it shows that the government really
I think
don't
a
care.
lot of people complained about it because they were like, "Oh, the CGI looks bad." It's not It's
I
not.
have a thing about that in a second.
It's not actually that bad for what people were seeing, but also people were watching the YouTube rip, and it's like the compression on it.
Well, I
and,
have a couple things about that.
the actual finalized Disney Plus version and render that you'll see if you watch it on Disney Plus, you actually see like pores definition and like refraction through the skin and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's like actually good quality CGI.
Well, here's my few thoughts on the CGI debacle that everyone had with She-Hulk. First off, you upload
First off, Black Panther exists.
but you upload the trailer, right? You upload it to social media for people to see it, right? YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of them. The first thing they do is whenever you upload an actual video, like this video we're recording right now that you're seeing if you're watching the podcast is 1080p, right? Truth of the matter is when we upload this, it's not going to be true 1080p. It's actually going to be downgraded towards probably closer towards what's 720. And that's just because of YouTube compression and the way that like they have to compress the videos in order for their servers to host it. And same with Twitter, Instagram, all of that. So you're already seeing a compressed video, meaning you're not going to see the highest quality of the CGI, right? Secondly, this is another thing because I remember there were all the reports for Spider-Man No Way Home that like even a week before they were doing the movie, they were still finishing VFX shots for it. That's very normal in this industry. I mean, it's unfortunate. And I think that there needs to be, with all the VFX stuff going on, and I'm currently now doing the VFX for my own film, which I filmed, and it's rough. I fully get it, right? I do not envy these VFX companies or the VFX artists by any means. If anything, I sympathize with them. This shit's hard, right? That said, I think what's crazy to me is people are acting like what they saw in the trailer was the finished CGI. No, if you want the full honest to God truth, they're going to be working on the CGI till the week before, maybe even the week of. I mean, in the case of Stranger Things, the last episode, they literally uploaded the last CGI shots, the last 29 of them, 10 hours before the episodes premiered. Right?
And that's why they split up the season like that. The last two episodes were delayed not to break up the season, but because they were like, "Oh, we're not done yet."
Yeah. And so it's just it's crazy that I understand that this is not a highly publicized, here's how this side of the industry works, right? People just go, "Oh, you do CGI, just fix it," right? Or just do it. But there's way much more that goes into it. And having done the research to now do CGI on my film and other special effects like that, visual effects, it's rough. It's not easy. There's so much that goes into it. And this stuff is always the last minute things that you cannot account for. That, I mean, shit, I was rendering out a shot the other day for my film. It crashed my goddamn computer and I lost all the progress.
The intro to our podcast, I think you remember,
Yeah.
when I was editing it in and I was doing some all the animation was done in After Effects. It was as simple as I just made some simple looking but fun looking 2D layers in Illustrator. I exported it to After Effects and I animated everything, and a lot of things change shape and size, especially as you zoom in through each section of the buildings.
Yeah.
And all I did beyond that, the animation was threw on some pretty simple filter effects, like some of the warpage, and you'll see the red and green, red and green and blue and purple layering effects, kind of like the 3D glasses look, and stuff. And I added in some noise. Not that much post work and not that much effects. That blue screened my computer.
Yeah.
My computer straight up crashed and blue screen and said, "I'm sorry, I don't know what happened."
I want to also say for the record, it's not like we have very weak computers. I mean, my computer has 32 gigabytes of RAM. It's a i7 processor in there that clocks in at 4.5 gigahertz.
And my computer's graphics card sounds like a Terminator robot.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it is. I know it has a lot of numbers and letters in it.
I'm looking at it. You have the GTX 1070 Ti.
That sounds right.
I have the 1660 Ti.
My brother built my computer.
The only step up for my graphics card right now is a 2000 series GTX,
Oh, wow, that's convenient. That's open onto the Hulk page.
But that's just my quick rant on the VFX complaints that people were having with She-Hulk. I think it's unwarranted, and everyone's sitting here going, "Well, we have to hold Marvel and the creators accountable." Yeah, you do, but not because they're the ones producing the CGI. They're the ones abusing these CGI companies. And this is coming from someone who I actually, unlike you, I like a lot of the MCU. I actually have a movie idea that I'd love to someday actually write and direct for the MCU.
Oh well, one
You know?
of my like dreams
Mhm.
would be to do a Spider-Man noir movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We both have two different Spider people we want to make movies for.
Wait, can I hang on?
You're gonna guess mine easily.
Oh, is it Spider-Gwen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make a Spider-Gwen origin story for the MCU,
And you
like live action. I have it all. Like,
And then
I
you-
actually have the whole.
you get
adaptation,
you get
like,
Haley
planned out.
Steinfeld to play the live
Oh,
action
I would
version,
love to.
and she's Hawkeye and Spider-Gwen.
No, but like I genuinely, I have
Real quick.
Yes.
Who would you cast as Spider-Gwen for
Who would
live
I
action?
cast as Spider-Gwen? I mean, I would say Haley Steinfeld, but she's already, whatchamacallit, Hawkeye, the new Hawkeye. Unless we're doing like a different universe, like a different
Oh,
multiverse
I think it would
from
it would
6
have
and
to be a
6,
different universe.
then in that case, I would fully say Haley Steinfeld.
But if you ever wanted to cross over with the main universe, then it has to not be Haley
Exactly,
Steinfeld.
right? So in that case, then who would I cast? I think that's
You gonna
rough.
go with the obvious one, Emma Stone? What would you say?
No, I wouldn't.
I don't
say
think
Emma
she would do it.
Stone.
She's
I'm,
won
I'm
an
gonna be
Oscar
real.
or
I
whatever
like
since-
I like Emma
since
Stone
that.
as an actor or an actress. I don't fully. I didn't like her Gwen, and I can't tell if that was the way she portrayed her or if that was
Oh my god.
the direction or the writing. It didn't sit right with me personally.
I think it was Sony.
I think it was Sony. Now that said, I'm trying to think through what other actresses I could cast.
Well, I think it's obvious. I would have Nick Cage play Spider-Man.
Oh, of
No, I'm
course.
kidding. I think.
Man.
Ooh, Spider-Man.
This is a tough one.
If I were to cast Spider-Man for Spider-Man Noir, I don't know. This is supposed to be about the Hulk, but we're just gonna
Yeah,
talk.
all right. Hold on. We
We're
gotta
just
get
gonna
back.
talk about the MCU. It's,
Well,
we'll talk about the Hulk. But
We'll talk about the
MCU
Hulk in a
for
second.
while.
We gotta
A little while.
figure this
Well, there's
out.
also all the news that's come out about the future of the MCU.
Exactly. That's something I wanted to get into. So they just did San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm sure you saw all the announcements too, as well as I did, beyond like
Everyone did. Yeah.
trailers or whatever.
I was annoyed the one day because
Mm-hmm.
I knew San Diego Comic-Con was happening. Like I remembered what days it were.
Yeah.
Because a lot of YouTubers I watch were saying, "Oh, I won't be posting this week because I'm going to San Diego for Comic-Con."
Mm-hmm.
And then I was on Friday constantly refreshing because I'm like, I know Marvel's gonna post crap, and then they started posting stuff, but it was all the animated news, and I was like, "Where's all the other stuff?"
Oh,
and
that's
I didn't
right. They
realize.
split it up for some reason.
Yeah, they did an animation panel and then a live action panel.
In the animation panel, I actually was low key hyped about some stuff.
I only care about the Spider-Man show.
The Spider-Man show, I liked some of the stuff they showed. I'm excited. X-Men '97. Yo, I love the original X-Men from the 90s, the animated show.
I need to go back and watch it because growing
Good.
up, I watched the '90s Spider-Man show nonstop.
It was great.
I actually, it's funny because I never watched the Spectacular Spider-Man. I know that's a lot of people.
That's like the definitive,
but
honestly.
it's actually I've recently since watched the Spectacular Spider-Man. It's all on YouTube.
Mhm.
You can find it for free on YouTube, and they're not trying.
This
to
is
take it
not
down.
us saying to
I'm not
pirate
condoning
it. Go
piracy.
stream it on the
It's
respected
for
service
free
it
on
is.
YouTube, but I'm just saying.
Um,
The '90s one I grew up watching and loving, and then I recently watched Spider-Man Unlimited, which is like a weird, almost continuation of the. It's like the same vibe of the '90s. It's so weird.
Yeah.
If anyone's looking for a weird something to watch with Spider-Man, watch Spider-Man Unlimited. It's on Disney Plus. It's so weird, but it was so fun. Anyways, I never got into the X-Men '90s cartoon for whatever reason. I had seen episodes here and there, but I think it was just because I had consistently watched enough of the Spider-Man show that whenever it was on, I was able to just watch it. When the X-Men one was on, I had only seen bits and parts, so I never.
So it was like, what am I really watching here? What am I gaining from watching
The
this?
X-Men one came first, so right?
I believe so.
I think it came first, so
Yeah.
it was like more established by the time I got to watch it. Anyways,
That said, that one, but also
The art looks
from
cool for it.
animation, Marvel Zombies, the news they had for that surprised me.
I don't care.
Well, here's the thing.
That's rude.
I think it's surprising.
I care about.
no,
what you
I don't
said. I
care.
don't care about the
I
show.
don't.
that
I
much.
agree. I don't care about the show, but the news that they announced was super surprising to
Oh,
me.
it was a TVMA.
TVMA.
That did
Marvel's
surprise me.
first TVMA content, which then
Outside of like a
signifies to
Fox
me,
thing.
which then signifies to me, I know that they had already mentioned, oh, we're gonna be keeping Deadpool 3 rated R, and while I was like, cool, you're saying you're gonna honor it, but until I hear that you're gonna do something, I'm not gonna believe it. Now I fully believe it. They're producing TVMA. They're going to do an R-rated Deadpool 3. Furthermore, I'm gonna be real. I've talked to people. My roommate Caleb. Shout out Caleb if he watches
Shout out
this.
Caleb.
A great dude. we had talked one time about the Daredevil show on Netflix, going back to that, and he had said he doesn't think it needs to be rated R. And I said, while I agree, I don't think it needs to be rated R. I think this is one of those few instances that a superhero show or superhero, visual media can benefit from a harder rating like R or TVMA. You know, I'm excited now that they announced Daredevil Born Again. Keep that TVMA, keep that Netflix
I
style,
think as
that
long
grit.
as they keep that, the grit and the action of at least the first season of Daredevil, I think they'll be able to do enough. They'll do good enough stuff. But also, I know the one thing you wanted to talk about.
Yes.
You wanted us to try and speculate the 6 unannounced things.
Yes.
When is D20?
D23 is in September, so this is like the halfway point. By the time this video is getting uploaded, around the time that we're recording it, and this whole podcast episode here, we're about 2 to 3 weeks from San Diego Comic-Con, and we got about 3 to 4-ish weeks maybe until D23, because I believe it's early September. So that said, Marvel announced a lot of stuff. They announced nearly all of Phase 5, if not all of it. They announced.
No, I think they announced all of Phase 5.
Well, I don't know, because here's the one thing.
Oh wait, what is it? Secret Wars or no? Armor Wars didn't show up in it, but there was
now unless they're pushing that back for Phase 6.
The director was like,
it's still happening.
Tweeted out. He was like, "No, we're still making it. It's still happening." Because people were like, "Did they cancel it?"
Yeah, no, I fully believe they would still make it. I mean, it's Marvel. They're gonna announce something. They're gonna do it because they're gonna abuse the VFX companies. Again, I'd love to make a Marvel movie sometime, Kevin Feige, please. But I do think what's interesting here is they have 6 unannounced projects for Phase 6. Now, I don't know if those are the 6 that they're going to announce. But then also, where does Armor Wars come in? Because that was actually supposed to premiere like summer, if I remember, of last year originally. And now it's just not on the schedule. So is that still coming out in Phase 5? Is that now a Phase 6 release?
I feel like, honestly, it'll probably be a Phase 5 release, but probably one of the releases where it's just they, to be honest, don't care about it as much. And it kind of floats under the radar.
Which is unfortunate because Don Cheadle is great
as
an actor. And honestly, I would watch this one if for no other reason. I know Don Cheadle's in it.
Also, apparently Justin Hammer's supposed to come back.
Really?
And I love me some Sam Rockwell as well.
There we go.
That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true. Don't quote me on that. We don't do research on the show. But a lot of people keep pointing out Young Avengers. That seems obvious.
That's an obvious one. If anything, I mean, I know they have 1 or 2 projects after Secret Wars now, No, they have like two more projects to announce after Secret Wars in 2020, whatever it is.
I think 2025.
Damn, really? That close?
Yeah, they expect me to still care about this when I'm 25. Asking a lot. No, I'm kidding.
But if they, damn, we in sync today. The DAP. But I think if they have 2 more projects to announce afterwards, I think a Young Avengers movie would work after Secret Wars, because Secret Wars could be another Endgame level thing where you can. I know they're already trying to bill it like that because Kang. And I think what's even more interesting to me is if they were to do that, you shake it up even more and you literally break apart the Avengers twice in a row, but this time kill off more than just Tony and Natasha.
I saw this is a lot of people's theory, is that Fantastic Four is going to establish, of course, the Fantastic Four, and they said that Franklin Richards is already going to be, hopefully Valeria too. The kids
they'll already be there.
Sue and Reed are already going to be there.
Yeah, because Kevin Feige said that it's not going to be an origin story. They're already going to be established.
And Doctor Doom is allegedly supposed to be established at the end of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Well, did you hear when the Fantastic Four is supposed to be technically introduced and established?
Oh, like
Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah.
It's rumored that they're going to show up there and they're going to come out somehow from, or be born or something like that. Somehow get their powers maybe from the quantum realm.
And so a lot of people are saying that Matthew Malloy, the Molecule Man, I think that's his name, Matthew Malloy. The Molecule Man is actually going to be the villain and problem that they have to deal with.
I think it would be
Fantastic
good to do
Four
that.
because he's a huge player in the 2015 Secret Wars comic book, and it seems like they're drawing more inspiration from the 2015 Secret Wars than the 1982.
90s.
I thought it's in the 80s.
90s. Right hand to God, I swear to God, it's Secret Wars from the 90s. The only reason I know is every time I talk about Secret Wars, I'll talk about the new one to my dad, and my dad will go, "Oh, well, didn't they do the run in the 90s?" And I was like, no, but there's like a second run that they did in like 2015 that was all about Doom and Reed Richards rivalries, and it was like the big culmination and like breaking point of everything.
So, regardless, the 2015 one has to do with a lot of different alternate realities and timelines and whatnot.
The big incursion thing that they hinted at in Doctor
I don't want to
Strange 2.
spoil anything for that comic series because that is, if you haven't ever read
It's
it,
a really good one.
It's probably one.
It's so good.
It's one of the best like stories told in comics. There's a lot that's just kind of like you comic book logic for it to happen, but it's
this
like,
is
it's crazy.
good. It's great.
But Doctor Doom's a big player in the outcome of it, and a lot of people are speculating that Kang is going to be this huge villain. They've already built him to be the super powerful guy. I mean, in the Loki series,
by the
they're
end of
using the Infinity Stones as paperweights. So, like, Kang is already established as this crazy powerful guy. He's going to be established in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he's going to be established in, obviously,
Well,
Avengers.
I mean, he's already been hinted at and established technically even within Loki.
Yeah, Loki
even
season
He Who
2.
Remains was like, yeah, there's guys out there that try to conquer shit.
And he's
That's
supposed
not me,
to-
but he's scary.
He's supposed to be in something else, too.
I don't know what the other one is. I know there's Kang Dynasty. I know there's Secret Wars.
Anyways, a lot of people are speculating that some big calamity is going to be coming from Kang,
Mm-hmm.
and that the person who will stop it is Doctor Doom, setting him up to be the big bad for Secret Wars. So you're seeing this big guy that they're building up for Kang, like this big Kang like threat, and then out of nowhere, bang, Doctor Doom's like, me actually.
But no, I think it would be interesting though. You take you do reverse Thanos, whereas you build up Thanos as this big threat, and you have him be the big threat. No one to challenge him but the Avengers, right? I think that would be interesting. You set Kang to be this big threat, and Kang Dynasty is this big culmination battle after you see him in all these other projects, and I fully expect him to wreck Scott Lang's shit in Ant-Man and the Quantumania. I'm not saying I want him to die, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
A lot of people think that he's gonna die,
Especially now that his daughter Cassie has the purple suit from the promotional poster.
Yeah, she's
I fully believe.
Stature,
I fully believe he will die, or at least he'll be seriously wounded to the point where he can't be Ant-Man anymore.
But yeah, and it would make sense because a lot of the times where Doctor Doom becomes the big threat, it's usually something else is the big threat, and then Doctor Doom swoops in and takes the power for himself, and then they're like, come,
Doom.
All right, I guess we'll fight Victor now.
All right. Now, that said, we got to talk about these projects. What do we think they are?
Well, I think
one of them has to be the mutants.
Oh yeah, there's like a lot
I mean,
of people
I
saying
don't
the
want to
mutants.
spoil anything, but are you caught up in everything that's come out from Marvel recently, both theatrical and Disney Plus?
No. Oh, I know. What
You
you're
know
gonna bring
about the
up
big one?
with Miss Marvel.
Yeah, with Miss Marvel, I think that's interesting that she's technically the first mutant in the MCU, and I actually really like that. I'm not gonna lie, I think that twist, it really hit for me. It really landed.
It works.
It works, and because the other thing was, I mean, for those who don't know, yes, she's an Inhuman in the comics. The Inhumans, though, are in the comics, and I know the creator, since she had a heavy hand in executive producing the show and the season it and everything, she originally actually came out in an interview and said she originally wanted Kamala to be a mutant in the comics, but whoever was in charge of Marvel Comics at the time of her creation said no, Inhuman or no.
Yeah, you either have your character be basically a C plot team, or we don't allow the character to be made, which is like that happens a lot. There's a lot of teams and less successful properties and big things like this that they'll test waters with these like side things people don't really care about, and if there's a popular response to it, then they'll bring him over. I mean, that's what Miles Morales was. He was in the Ultimate Universe in the comics. People started to like him, and then they folded him over in, get this, 2015 Secret Wars comic book event. So for people who really want Miles Morales, this might be the time.
And
Miles Morales
full fan cast here. Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things should play Miles Morales.
I could see it.
I think I saw that the other day on Twitter, and I was like, that is. I think that's a great fan cast.
I think it would actually be cool. I forget the name of the voice actor, but the one from Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be the main Miles, but it'd be cool if, like, in some Spider-Verse or, like, Secret Wars event, like, you just see an alternate dimension where it's like, oh, that's the grown-up Miles. And you have that, because he's, like, 30, I think, that actor or something. So he's, like, and he looks like an adult. So.
If you could have the actors and actresses from Spider-Verse like
Just do a quick
quick-
from a portal. They're like, oh hey, look.
dude,
like
I
in
would love to
Secret
see
Wars.
Jake Johnson as Spider-Man. I love that man.
Yeah,
Oh, I love him. He's great.
it's great.
Anyway,
I think yeah.
Spider-Man 4, I also wouldn't be surprised if they announced something relating to it.
Oh, it was so funny. I saw someone make a title for it. It was something like oh, what was it?
I saw a bunch of like
It
the
was like
fan-made
Spider-Man
titles.
Home Again or
It's
or
so
whatever.
bad. I hate
Um,
those titles, and I really hope that for this next Spider-Man trilogy that they're rumored to be making, not rumored, I mean, Tom Holland already signed on for the
They're
deal,
gonna
right?
make it's Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man. They're gonna make more, and I mean, with as big as No Way Home was, let alone how much Far From Home sold as the first billion-dollar Spider-Man, they're gonna make more.
Yeah.
No way they're gonna stop now. Now that said, my dream Spider-Man 4 movie for MCU,
Craven's Last Hunt.
Nope.
Oh,
Stay street
I thought you were gonna
level.
do that.
Stay street level. Do Daredevil Born Again, have that tie into Spider-Man, and have a Spider-Man and Daredevil team-up movie against Fisk.
Well, I mean, Kevin Feige straight up said they want Daredevil and Spider-Man to lead their street heroes.
I think that would be a great like Spider-Man 4. Then in Spider-Man, then the post-credit Spider-Man 4, the Venom symbiote attaches to him, right? Spider-Man 5.
Well, no. It should attach to him in this movie because
Mm.
in the comics, there's a character called the Sin Eater, which also plays into the origin of Eddie Brock in the comic books.
Yeah.
Sin Eater is straight up just a serial killer who goes around and shoots people with a shotgun. It's a very kind of uncreative serial
That's
killer.
not laughing matter, but it's just
It's
for
he
a
just
serial
walks
killer.
around
Oh,
and
what's your calling card as a serial killer?
I shoot
go,
people with a
shoot people
shotgun.
shotgun.
So Spider-Man starts. He has the symbiote attached to him. He just starts getting angry and violent.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a couple issues where Daredevil's like with Spider-Man, and Daredevil's like, "Dude, you need to calm down." And they
Calm
straight
down,
up get in a
yeah.
fight. And I think that would be cool if Daredevil was like almost Peter, because if you know from Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man has lost all of his supporting cast as of now.
Mhm.
He's alone. So
Yep.
Daredevil would be his only support in this superhero journey, where
Yeah.
he'd be like, "Yo, hey, Spider-Man,
Chill out,
just
bro.
notice your new costume, your new
Yeah.
demeanor, you know."
I think that would be interesting. I think another one that'd be very interesting. So you do that, right? But I don't think Venom should really become a big thing. Maybe you have.
Oh, Venom and Eddie Brock shouldn't be in the movie.
I
but
think
he
Venom and
should have the symbiote
I think they should
suit
have a
in the
different.
movie.
Love Tom Hardy. I think they should have a different Eddie Brock for the MCU, as to not really confuse people with Sonyverse and MCU. That's my 2 cents on that. But also,
don't.
yeah.
I haven't seen the Venom.
they're
movies.
okay.
Oh,
The first one's okay. It's like not great, but I can at least have fun watching it. The second one, I didn't like it. But I think the 5th Spider-Man, you do Spider-Man and versus Venom, right? Like that's the movie you establish Venom.
and
Finally.
honestly, I'm gonna
But-
be honest. Just don't do Carnage.
but oh no, don't.
Don't do.
But
Carnage.
here's the thing. I think Spider-Man 5, like I said, Daredevil, Kingpin, the Venom attaches to him, right? Maybe your post-credit scene, introduce Miles Morales.
So
Now, then they can follow Spider-Man PS4. And in Spider-Man 5, he still has the symbiote on him, and he's trying to teach Miles like how to be Spider-Man and shit, right?
Mhm.
Like kind of like that mentor relationship that you see in like Spider-Man PS4 and like some of the other Spider-Man media. I think that'd be great. And I think you carry that over where eventually they have to fight Venom or whatever, right? Then Spider-Man 6,
here it comes.
you have 6 movies to set up people.
Wait, hold on.
You do a Sinister 6 movie, but you ready for
Oh!
this one?
Yeah.
Sinister 6 movie. Here's my ultimate twist. You kill off Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Miles Morales carries on.
That's how it happens in the comics.
No, I know, but I don't. They don't want to let Tom Holland go.
Well, Tom Holland has also come out and he says that he doesn't want to be playing Spider-Man by the time he's 30.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be playing Spider-Man
And
by the
he's
time.
like, what?
Hold on,
He's
I
like,
wouldn't
what,
wanna be
24,
playing-
25 right
I
now?
wouldn't want to be playing Spider-Man by the time I'm 30 either, unless I'm getting paid big dollars, and you know what they're gonna pay him.
That's true. I do think eventually they're gonna get rid of Tom Holland.
Oh,
It
for
kinda
sure.
makes
But
sense,
I think Spider-Man 6, if they follow that arc or something similar to it that I just laid out, perfect way. You rid him, you usher in Miles Morales, and especially because they already have Uncle Aaron already in the MCU with Childish
Uncle
Gambino.
Glover.
Shout out Donald Glover, the man.
Shout out Donald Glover. He's our friend. He's
I
a
love
friend of the
him.
show, Donald Glover.
He's a big friend, you know. I mean, I just recorded with him in the
Tune
studio.
in next week. He might call in. Seriously. No, seriously.
Okay, it's childish. All right. Anyway.
Don't go dropping like the Nasdaq.
All right. We've been beating around the bush. We really have.
Oh wait, I actually want to say something real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think they should do Hobgoblin, and I think it should be Ned Leeds because
Uh-huh.
I think it's an interesting twist. I don't want it just because like a lot of people have said like, oh, but like
He's wearing the colors.
he's not actually Hobgoblin in the comics. He's mind tricked into. Being
I
the
know.
Hobgoblin
That's
in the
what I try to
comics.
tell people, and they're like, no.
But
Fucking morons.
I want him to be Hobgoblin because this is one of the few times the MCU can be wholly original in one of their villains and how they work in a way like it's all set up.
Yeah.
Like he forgot his friend was Peter,
Mm-hmm.
and Peter decided not to tell him. If somehow he remembers that, he could feel scorned by Peter for all that. And I just think it would just be interesting. And he also has like magical powers somewhat.
Well, here's my.
And there's like sometimes
Yeah.
the Demo Goblin, Hobgoblin crossover stuff happens, and there's the one Hobgoblin with like a fire sword and stuff.
Mhm.
I just think it would be interesting.
Here's my one thing for those of you who haven't read comics. After the Civil War event that happened, there was a very infamous Spider-Man storyline called One More Day.
Mhm.
Not much great has come from that. However, I do like the inspiration that it gave for No Way Home's ending. So that way you can start fresh, street-level Spider-Man, right?
Mhm.
But I'm curious if they're going to keep the fix that they did where they retconned that everyone forgot his identity, where the only time people can remember that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and then remember everything about him is if he's in costume and he takes off his mask.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll keep that in the MCU and if that will be like a catalyst. Something will happen where like he has to take his mask off or whatever in front of Ned and MJ, or at least Ned. And
Mhm.
he's like, oh my god, and that could be like the catalyst
Peter.
there. I that's
No,
one of
Peter,
the
don't
few
die,
times
you're too
now.
sexy.
Listen, that's like a very comic booky thing, you
Mhm.
know.
I
That's
don't
one of
know
the few
if MCU
times
will go with it.
I'd say the comic booky thing is okay.
Yeah.
Because how else, like, for a fact that they're gonna bring back him and they're gonna bring back MJ, like, they're fan favorite characters too.
Yeah.
They're gonna bring him back.
Um,
But how do you do that and get him to remember Peter? That's one of the
I don't.
few
To be
times
honest,
I think
I
they
don't. I
could.
don't care about any of. I have not cared about any of the supporting cast in the Spider-Man movies.
No, that's bullshit. You care about MJ because it's Zendaya, and Zendaya is the goat.
I don't really. I
Zendaya
like
is the goat.
Zendaya.
She's the goat.
I don't really.
Zendaya
care.
is the goat. She needs to stay in the Spider-Man movies because she's the goat. Zendaya, leave Tom Holland. Please come marry me. That said,
Other than Happy, I thought he was a cool addition to Spider-Man. He's almost like somewhat an Alfred to him. I'm glad that he
Mhm.
won't stay that. I think it kind of ruins the Spider-Man character. I think it was fun for a movie, but
Yeah.
I'd never cared about really any of the supporting cast that they gave to this Peter. And there's a whole rant I could get into, but I'll probably say that for a Spider-Man movie.
yeah.
Um,
So
I guess last thing before we move on to the Hulk, the second half of this episode.
the main part of this episode that we've already we've damn, it's been 40 minutes we've been talking about
It's
everything
okay.
but the Hulk
It's
in the Hulk
okay.
episode.
This is a twofer. Everyone's getting a twofer this week. They're getting
Twofer.
RWR episode 3, Marvel phase 5 and 6, and the Incredible Hulk. Anyway, if you could have any movie be developed
Mhm.
out of the 6 slates, like not off of what you
I could
think could happen,
choose-
if you could
choose
anything,
anything regardless what it is, what would I choose?
yes.
I need a second to think.
Okay.
You sound like you have an answer already. Do you want to
Well,
spit out what you were thinking?
I love two characters I really like.
Mm-hmm.
But one can't come right now. That's probably he's gonna have to come after probably what will be probably like the second Fantastic Four movie. I love the Silver Surfer, and he has fun space adventures in the comics. He's actually probably a good setting for a show where like each episode he's just like on a different planet doing a different like alien thing.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see a Ghost Rider something.
A Ghost Rider?
Yeah.
I actually, you know what, I was just thinking that too, because I was like, man, who could they do? And I was like, Ghost Rider would be good.
But I don't.
But if you'd say Ghost Rider,
I don't think they should do Johnny Blaze yet.
I think they should do Robbie Reyes,
They already did that for
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I like him too. I think what would be interesting
Create
is
a
if
whole new Ghost Rider.
they did Dan Ketch, which is the second Ghost Rider.
Wow.
And he's the half brother to Johnny Blaze.
Mhm.
So what I think would be interesting is if you have this character Dan Ketch get introduced.
Yeah.
He's a Ghost Rider. He's a new character you can play with, who hasn't been on the screen ever yet. And his character, he has some like defining character traits.
Yeah.
He's actually the first Ghost Rider who did like the whole biker with spiky leather look.
Mhm.
Before Johnny Blaze was always like stunt cyclist look. But he is like one of his big character traits is he like struggles with alcoholism
Yeah.
and stuff. So
And actually,
Ghost Rider
struggling with alcoholism,
Yeah.
unlike Tony Stark.
Ghost Ghost Rider obviously doesn't help that. He's struggling with literal demons.
Yeah.
And I think a cool thing would be is you just have Dan Ketch, Ghost Rider, do a Ghost Rider villain. Probably not Blackheart or Mephisto. We've seen that. Do a smaller time villain.
What are you talking about? Mephisto's behind everything, man.
He's behind everything.
Did you know he was behind the Hulk 2008?
Oh yeah, he was.
He was the executive producer at the time.
Oh, okay. Do a smaller time villain like the Orb, which
Yeah.
is he's basically the Orb's character is he did a race against Johnny Blaze,
Yeah.
and then in the race he crashed and got like kind of messed up and mangled. So he wears an eyeball helmet to cover up, and other than that, he basically has a red version of the stunt cycle outfit, and he just kind of shoots Uzis at people. And he's just like kind of a goofy, wacky character. Have like a crazy circus type gang headed by the Orb, or maybe a character like Ringmaster, who's like also like a minor Spider-Man villain, just like use him for that. Have Ghost Rider go up against a circus of hell type thing, and then the ending to that would be, the like cool ending to that could be his brother Johnny Blaze is like the end credits to that type of thing, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, Dan, we should catch up," and then he's like, "Yeah, I got a lot to tell you," type thing, and you have like a Johnny Blaze moment where he's like, "Oh, dude, trust me," kind of like where he's like, basically Dan Ketch is gonna be like, "Dude, I'm a Ghost Rider," and Johnny Blaze is gonna be like, "Dude, I've been a Ghost Rider," and you just like it's one of those things you haven't seen Johnny Blaze yet, but he's been
Yeah.
established for a little while to set up the Spirits of Vengeance, which is like their motorcycle gang, and it's kind of like it's almost like a Midnight Suns, but like a cool motorcycle gang version of that. And both those Ghost Riders are part of it. Robbie Reyes gets accepted into it, and there's a couple other characters, and you can kind of get into like the Hell characters, and you can get into like Damien Hellstrom and whatnot. And then you could have like a Spirits of Vengeance movie, have some Ghost Riders team up, and then you do a bigger threat like Mephisto or something.
So that being said, you asked for my my pick if I could have anything.
Yeah.
I have two here.
Go for it.
The first is Punisher.
Okay.
I would be okay with a Punisher Disney Plus series, or like a movie if
I
they could
forgot
make it
series
work.
could be a thing.
If they could make it work, a movie, but I'd say a series. John Berthnell, bring him back. He was so good as the Punisher.
He also,
I think it suffered from just like not even like it wasn't even a bad script. It wasn't a great script. It was just an okay script. I feel you give him a great political thriller Punisher script. Oh, John Berthnell will kill.
John
it.
Bernthal has like gone on record too saying he wants to be on
Bring him
screen
back.
with Tom Holland Spider-Man too.
That I would love that. Now that's my first one, but if I couldn't have that, right? Because I'm actually tied here on my two. My other actually was a, oh God, why am I blanking? You just said it.
Ghost Rider,
No,
Hellstrom,
Nope. Team up.
Robert,
Midnight
Spirits
Suns.
Midnight Suns.
I would do a Midnight Suns movie.
People
you
seem really into that
You
as well.
do that. You bring in like, Ghost Rider, right?
And also
you
the
bring
thing where I
in-
said where they could do Spirits of Vengeance,
Well,
it could be
they
you
already
saying,
have
let's
some
do
characters
Midnight
sped
Suns
up.
instead.
They already have some characters set up. I
Yeah.
mean, the biggest one that they currently have set up, who's very popular, might I add, and I heard they're filming a season 2, or it's all but confirmed.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
And Doctor
And-
Strange is
and-
on it.
Believe it or not, I actually don't hate the Moon Knight series. I won't get into that in this episode. I have a big rewrite I would have done for the finale.
Okay.
That would have fixed everything for me, and it would have easily been the best Disney Plus series.
Well, I'm excited for when we get to that then.
Yes. That's it. Those
That's
are my
cool.
two. Midnight Suns, and make sure you get Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight in that, because that bitch will slay. I love him.
All right.
Like
yeah.
he will slay Queen. You know what I mean?
Slay Queen.
Yeah.
All right.
Just straight up like, you know,
Transition.
transition. We are talking now about the main course of this episode after 46 minutes of recording.
It's okay. I'll probably edit it down, and also I'll do like in the title
My man.
episode or phase 5 and 6 plus Incredible Hulk. It's like a two. Oh,
What?
you're just going for it.
You gonna keep talking?
So the Incredible Hulk. What'd you think about it upon rewatch, or reviewing, rethinking, whatever? Whatever.
I
this is.
gotta be honest here, right? I know we talked about it a little bit, and I agree with your one sentiment that you said, which was this movie reminds you a lot of Thor 1, where it's like it's actually a good movie. Just rearrange some things and it works even better, you know? And while I agree with that, I just have one issue. Nothing memorable, in my opinion. Whereas even in Thor 1, I could sit here and say, like, I still remember watching, you know, the time he tried to pull the hammer out for the first time at the shield thing, and it just didn't work, right? That's such a great scene.
And that guy with a bow for some reason. That's so weird. It stood
But
out.
I think that was such a great scene, right? And while I don't think there's anything inherently horrible about the Hulk or bad, right? I'm gonna be real. Before I started rewatching it, I just nothing really within me was like I distinctly remember this from the Hulk.
I think it's interesting. It's weird because I remember a lot from Iron Man 1. I remember a lot from Iron Man 2, and I remember a lot from Thor and Cap 1.
Right? And it even
I don't remember a lot from the Hulk, and I think it's because this is my theory on it. For those who don't know, Universal technically owns the rights to a solo Hulk movie, but I guess they have an agreement.
It's some weird licensing
Marvel
where they
Entertainment
can use team up.
He can be in team
Hulk.
up movies, which is why he showed up in Thor Ragnarok. He shows up in the Avengers movies, and now they're doing
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. But I think because of that, this movie doesn't get shown around as much. It's also not on Disney Plus, and I feel like I've seen Thor. I feel like I've seen Cap, and I feel like I've seen Iron Man. I feel like I've seen those movies
see where you're
on
going with
cable
this.
TV.
Yeah.
And it's been like you know, it just pops on more often. I think because of that, the Hulk hasn't, and also because of the recasting, it feels almost like you have to physically say to yourself, I want to watch that movie for it to come up.
Yeah, and I agree because at this point, I mean, whether you like his performance or not, Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk. You tell me Bruce Banner, the first face I think of is Mark Ruffalo, just because he's shown up in so much as the Hulk, you know. Whereas this being Edward Norton, like nothing to knock Edward Norton, he's a fantastic actor. Like he's great and he kills it in this movie. It's just he's not synonymous with the character like Bruce Banner and you know and Mark Ruffalo.
If you could have it your way, who would you have play Bruce Banner?
I like Edward Norton's take. I really do. Something about Mark Ruffalo's like voice and how he portrays the timid side of Bruce Banner, where like I know a big thing is like Bruce is very much into like Zen and like, you know, inner peace and all that because of the Hulk, obviously, right? And I think you pair that with the way Mark Ruffalo's voice is kind of just like almost always very calm. Even when he's like really yelling in these movies, he just sounds so calm.
Yeah.
Right? So I think you'd take that, and especially like the biggest performance I can think where I'm like, damn, he is a timid dude, is specifically Infinity War when he crashes in and he's like, hey guys.
Oh yeah, he's
Hey.
you haven't seen me for 2 years straight, but like hey
he's so socially awkward and timid. His performance is, I'm gonna say, iconic. Most people will not agree with that, but I mean, seriously, I think Bruce Banner. You mentioned that. I'm thinking that performance first. I'm sorry, I love Edward Norton, but I'm not thinking his performance.
I would agree with you before rewatching the Hulk 2008.
I seriously think like, but here's the thing.
I personally would now choose Edward Norton.
I think he's great. I can understand, I guess, why Marvel didn't want him if they want the more anxiety.
Well, do you know why he actually didn't continue? It is a thing that Edward Norton likes being a part of the editing process of the movies he stars in.
Yeah.
So apparently, he wanted to do that for this,
Mm-hmm.
and they were I don't know the full details to it. I just know something happened post-side where he was like, "Oh, I want to be a part of this," and they were like, "No," basically.
Mhm.
And he didn't like how it was turning out, and they kind of like apparently got ugly after production had ended, and they went into post-production. And there was like something where they try to send him like a fruit basket or something to like be like sorry, and he was like, "I don't fucking ever want to work with you guys again."
No.
So apparently that's what happened. Um,
Well, because I also know the only other reason you don't get a solo Hulk movie is, yes, Universal owns the right to a solo Hulk movie, but the other side of it is that Universal wants Edward Norton and will not greenlight a solo Hulk movie unless Edward Norton is the star, whereas Disney Marvel is like, sorry, fuck no, we don't want Edward Norton Hulk, we want a Mark Ruffalo Hulk.
I like Edward Norton too, though, because I feel like both are good portrayals, equally fine.
Mhm.
But I think that the Edward Norton kind of he feels a little bit more analytical,
Mm-hmm.
and he feels sometimes
More science-y.
like in the way he talks, he feels a little bit more precise and analytical in the ways that he talks about things. And the Hulk kind of, I feel like Bruce Banner has like the way he seems in the comics has kind of flip flopped over the years. Sometimes he is very timid, like you said, and
Yeah.
sometimes he can kind of straight up be a little evil
Yeah.
and a little bit like he's like too smart, and it kind of makes him a little bit of a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Edward Norton kind of was a bit more of that Bruce Banner,
Yeah.
and I just kind of like it.
Well, the only other reason I think I could look back and say I really like it too is, I mean, how many years have we gotten this timid Hulk now versus like that almost
Well, yeah, there's that too.
maniacally smart?
He's been in.
It's a different
Avengers.
take, and like you're now so used to this like, hey guys.
Yeah. He was in Avengers. He was in Avengers: Age of Ultron. He was in Thor: Ragnarok. He was in Avengers: Infinity War, Avengers: Endgame, and now he'll be in She-Hulk. That's 6 movies.
You're forgetting Shang-Chi. He was in Shang-Chi.
I didn't see Shang-Chi.
Really?
No, I still haven't seen it yet.
Shang-Chi is the best Phase 4.
That's the only one I actually
Best Phase 4.
I haven't seen that I want to see. A lot of people say it's great, and I do actually want to watch it.
Honestly, I think it's the best Phase 4 MCU movie.
And he was in the end credit scene to Iron Man 3. Was that Iron Man 3?
Oh, wait, so.
Whenever Tony Stark was like talking about his feelings, Mark
Yeah.
Ruffalo was like his therapist. He was Bruce Banner was like listening to him. I wrote here. I forgot about this. When he's talking to the leader, I forget his name.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if you knew that. The guy he talks to try to get cured, Mr. Blue, that's the leader.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people knew that or not. And the leader is basically he got a big brain, and he's really small.
He's smart as
He's
fuck.
small. He has like a gamma radiation that affects his brain, and he's brain boy.
Smart as fuck.
When he's talking to him, he's like, "I got to keep moving," and Mr. Blue goes, "To where?" And then Bruce Banner writes, "Home." It was such a main character line. He just put "home" in all caps, period. And I wrote, "What a main character line, home." I just like picturing Mr. Blue's like, "Okay, I don't know where that is.
Well, I want you to know, man, I gotta go.
Where are you going?"
Home.
And then a fun thing I remember was Martin Starr's in this.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Peter's teacher,
Yeah.
but he shows up. He's like one of the college guys, and so people have been like, "Oh, look, that's Peter's teacher when he was in college and whatnot." And then there's a scene where he sends the email.
Yeah.
And it like shows it send off, and it goes into like a digitized
Yeah.
effect. And I wrote, "Whoa, the email is in the mainframe. Whoa, internet." This is like
Guys, the email is so new and unique.
it's like this was like right at the end of Hollywood not understanding hacking and internet and all that, and like how it's just like, let's just throw up a bunch of graphics and digitize it, and it'll look like it's.
Well, I'd argue
like
they
stuff.
still don't understand hacking fully.
That's true.
Ocean's 8.
I never watched Ocean's 8. If you want cool hacking, watch Mr. Robot. Good show.
Great
Shout out
show.
Mr. Robot.
Great show.
And then I think that was like the only like. Oh, I put that bottling plant needs more quality control.
Mm-hmm. I can't really sit here and say I have a whole lot of criticisms or things for this. I mean,
Those are
I
kinda
can't
like my
even
funny,
speak really
silly
from
things.
like a writing perspective, and I know we had talked about this a little bit. and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I think writing perspective, this movie is solid.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's
good.
it's fine enough. There's a couple things I would change though.
Yeah,
There's a couple,
I
like,
know we had talked
style things or story things I would change.
small talk that we had done about, I guess, some rearranging,
Mhm.
kind of like similar to Thor 1, like we had talked about.
Yeah.
I agree. I think this movie is good. I see some rearranging that could go on and should, but I'm curious. What other stuff do you have to rewrite before we get into any rearrangements?
This is I wrote also. I forgot I wrote this. I said I think this is the only believable couple in the MCU.
I don't know.
I
Cap and Peggy.
they knew each other for like a couple weeks, you know, and then they were like,
My
love
guy,
is
I'm
timeless."
sorry to pull this card. It's a fucking comic book movie.
I know. I think that's
What makes you
fine.
think you can't use comic book logic of shit like that in a comic book movie?
I
Is it
will
because
say,
it's a
I
movie
thought
live
the ending
action?
to Endgame, I thought that last shot was really sweet. It was really cool that like they got their dance. That was nice. I don't care. I don't care about Peggy and Cap. I don't care about Pepper and Tony. I don't care about
Pepper
MJ
Tony, I
and
don't
Peter.
care.
I don't care about any of these. None of them I've ever like looked at and been like, wow, they actually seem like they kind of love each other. Like the way
That's not
Betty-
true. You saw Doctor Strange 1.
The way Betty and Bruce, or should I say Edward and Elizabeth, look at each other, I'm like, whoa. Like, there's something about
Ooh.
the way they look at each other and the way that
They horny.
Betty's character, as soon as she realizes Bruce can be back in her life again, drops and risks everything. I was like, that's love. That's love right there.
I actually think one of the coolest writing things, I always confuse this one with the other Hulk movie that's not in the MCU but came out like, what was it, like 3 years before this one? Where it was just the Hulk, not the Incredible Hulk.
just Hulk with Eric Bana.
Yeah, I always confuse that one and this one with plot points from another, but I believe it was this one where it was like they finally reunited or whatever, and she was going to do a little sexy time.
Oh yeah, that's this one. And
yeah,
his
and
watch
his
is
heart
beeping.
rate started going up, and he was like, I can't.
He's
I was
I
like-
can't get too excited. And
I
then
was
she's like, not even a little. And he's just like, oh.
I know, dude. I was like, damn, they
My
horny.
man's is down bad.
When the MCU was not owned by Disney, it was a different breed.
Yeah.
There was that. Was it Iron Man 1 or 2 when when Tony was fucking after the party? Remember that? He brought home the model,
Oh, yeah.
and he was like, they straight up, I mean, the lights were out, so they didn't show anything, but there was straight up a sex scene in Iron Man 1 or 2.
Iron Man 1. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
Pepper's like,
1.
oh, I take out the trash. And you're like, oh, I get it.
Well,
They're calling
because
her trash.
I distinctly remember as a kid watching that scene, like when Iron Man, like Tony and the model or whatever are on the bed, and like they're rolling around, they fall off, and they start laughing. I just remember like as a kid going, oh, they bumped their heads.
Aw, they're wrestling.
I was like, damn, they fell off. What clusses?
We need to show
And then
our
I'm like,
children
oh my God,
more
they're
sex.
fucking.
But yeah, I genuinely, I think that this was the honestly the best showing of like a couple and like how that dynamic can work between a super powered person and a normal everyday person. and
Well, I
how-
also think like going off what you were saying. I'm sorry.
no,
don't
I was
mean to-
just
don't
saying
mean
like
to
that was
cut
it.
you off.
Just like how that dynamic of a really powered person who's dangerous and this normal person, how this
Mm-hmm.
normal person truly has to sacrifice a lot because of how much they care for this person.
Well, I think it's interesting because I want to bring this up. This is one thing that I think this movie does great, absolutely wonderful. And I another unpopular opinion. I'm full of them today. I like Eternals. I really like it.
I still haven't seen that.
I know a lot of people shit on it. I think it's good. It's literally the best looking MCU movie. Period. I fully believe that, and I think
I've
the
seen
story
some
is
of the
great.
cool special effects stuff and like the
Dude,
the
Airsham
worlds and
is
stuff
so
they,
awesome.
They interact with.
You got to see Airsham.
Oh, I've seen that scene.
At the end of the movie.
Because
It's so raw.
I love the Celestials in the comics, so I just looked up Celestial scenes and watched YouTube clips.
Dude, it's so raw when he summons them. But anyway, I remember Chloe Zhao going around because that movie was famous for MCU's first sex scene. Iron Man and Hulk exist.
Iron Man and Hulk have had sex.
But
Yeah, no, Iron Man and Hulk had
I
it.
think it's interesting because I distinctly remember the quote that she said in the interview
Well,
where
Hulk
she
almost
said
has it.
where Chloe Zhao said in the interview, oh, this is like a very much more mature way of showing a relationship, because the MCU has always been full of like pecks and kisses and innocent love, but physical love is very real, and I completely agree. However, what's more important and I guess mature? Showing a straight up sex scene that's just two heads and people moving, right? Or getting damn near close to a sex scene, but having the two realize out of love for each other that if they do it, one or both will get hurt.
Yeah.
I think that is way more mature, right? Because you're showing these two people who love each other and love each other enough to physically with each other, but are also physically unable to.
Yeah.
That's just pain. That is hurt. That is mature as fuck.
That's mature as fuck.
No, it is. It is. It's mature as fuck. And like, listen, that's nothing against Chloe Zhao. I like her visuals. I like
You like her visuals.
I like her characters.
You like her visuals and you like her characters.
But mature is that fucking the Hulk 2008 love story. Mature as shit, yo.
Yeah. And then a separate thing from that. This is like a really minor thing, but I think there's that scene where Bruce, it's right in the beginning.
Yeah.
He gets like a package and it's this flower and he's like emailing Mr. Blue and he's like, apparently there's like a nectar in this flower or something that like could help provide a chemical needed for the cure or whatever. I don't know.
Whatever.
I didn't. I'm not a scientist. But during all that, he
But
like
don't you know about the spatial extrusions and
the gravitational anomalies. When he like whips out like a small satellite dish antenna, he pulls out a laptop and he pulls out a microscope. He mixes some stuff, looks through it, and that's like his makeshift lab. I thought it would have been really cool, would have showed Bruce Banner's ingenuity and also his ability to obviously stay hidden for a while.
Yeah.
If he like opened up a back room or a little basement hatch or something, and like there was like a whole makeshift handmade lab of like these parts welded together, handcrafted machinery, and he like made like these whole machines like by hand, and it would kind of and like this was back when the MCU was really grounded, so I don't know if they ever would have done that back in 2008. But I think it would just been cool, like you just straight up show like all this tech he's made by hand in this like back room, because like Bruce Banner is supposed to be one of the smartest people in the world in the comics and in this universe. So, and like what is the one movie he talks about? He has like 5 or 6 PhDs. So like I just think it would have been cool.
Also, dude, go touch some fucking grass.
Go touch some grass. I think it would have been cooler if there was just more to that. Like he could just like he whips out like really cool tech that is handmade looking, not just like, oh, this is old stuff that he like repurposed or grabbed. Like straight up looks like he hand welded it and screwed it and crafted it himself and everything.
Yeah.
And then getting into
because I want to get into this rearranging because I know you specifically
this is my rearranging.
had
This is
mentioned
my
it
next
to me.
thing.
Yeah. So tell me what about this movie would you fully
I think
rearrange?
we see too much of what the army is doing.
I agree.
And I think it kind of disrupts some of the momentum you have. There's like a whole
I think
scene.
it's important to show it.
Yeah.
But this is the Incredible Hulk, not the Incredible American Army.
Yeah. So there's like a whole scene where like you're with Bruce. I forget what's happening, but he's like on the move and whatnot. And then it cuts to Emil Blonsky and Thunderbolt Ross having a conversation. It's right after they first attack Bruce and the Hulk in the bottling plant. And then basically he's just like, I want to do more. And Thunderbolt Ross is like, okay. And then they go back to Bruce, and I was like, I didn't need that. You didn't need to show me that. I saw him survive the first mission. I know he'll probably be there for the second
They'll
one.
be in cahoots. I get it.
What I wrote was, I don't like seeing the army's plans. Keep us in the dark like Bruce is. It kind of put us in the place of Bruce. We don't know what the army's doing.
Kind of like what we said with Thor. I
Yeah,
think it's
a
great
very
if
similar
you show
idea
me
I have.
like from the character's perspective. I don't need an omnipotent view, and I think most storytelling can actually be very well done from a singular point of view. I think that's the way stories are meant to be told, unless it's an ensemble cast.
Yeah, I mean, obviously keep it third person. How this movie is. I don't want it to be only scenes with Bruce.
But that's what I mean.
But like, keep us more in the dark. Put us in Bruce's shoes.
Like if he's about to learn something that's very important, yeah, take me to the army real quick, so that way, oh, maybe I get a little bit of a heads up beforehand, and then he gets to find out, and I go, oh, let me see his reaction to find
And
out this.
I would
news."
I would have like 90% of the scenes with the army cut,
Yeah.
but you still need to establish this information, and I have a way to have that happen. I would have it be that only show them when they're on their way to Bruce or they are currently fighting Bruce.
Yes.
Outside of that, let us learn Emil is getting tested on and enhanced from Bruce getting data and stealing info from the army. Because a plot point is, oh, he goes back to the school to search the files to get like the data on their like all the variables they hadn't set when they did the original experiment. Him and Betty, right?
Yeah.
To do the gamma exposure for the Hulk event. And they go and everything's wiped from the school's data. And then he goes to Betty, and then Betty's like, "Oh, I have it," which is, that's fine. I don't think it's terrible, but I think it would have been cooler if Betty finds him and he's like, "The only way I can figure out this cure is if I can get that data," and Betty's like, "I don't have it. I'm sorry, but I like it's established that
I have one.
General Ross, what?
But I have one.
You do have one. I also have one.
Dab
me up on that.
That was a fist bump.
Yeah, we didn't dab. We just fist bumped. But it's established, like Bruce straight up says, like he wants to replicate it. He wants more. He wants more data on me. He wants like living tissue samples, blood, whatever. He wants to recreate this. So it would make sense that the army would have that data. They would wipe it from the school, but keep copies for themselves. So then Bruce and Betty, while they're on the run, they have to kind of also try to hack in or go to an army facility or use stuff from the general to kind of like, get that data.
Yeah.
And when Bruce is looking through that, it's part of the same project that Emil Blonsky is in. Because they have started testing on him. He could see surveillance footage of them and like read test results. Maybe he can't read it all, so we don't know it all right away. We just know, oh, Emil is involved in something here. And then when he gets all the data, he pours through all of his own data and then starts reading all the other data. And you can maybe see dead test subjects of like past soldiers who went through it and they didn't survive and stuff like that. And then you see Emil Blonsky's the one who's made it the furthest. And you see the stuff that they've already done. And he's like, oh my God, they're trying to replicate me with this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this is not great. And then, but now he has the data. He can go to Mr. Blue, the leader. I forget his name. And then you can have the same outcome kind of happen. The army shows up last second, and when they take Bruce away, Emil's still like, "Hey, put that in me." And then he's like, "Oh, I think you already have a little something in you." We know that because we saw Bruce learn that, and we learned that with Bruce. We don't just have that happen omnisciently outside of Bruce. And I think that would have been maybe a more interesting way to keep us with Bruce, keep Betty and Bruce on the run together a little bit more, and to kind of have even a little bit more like action to it where they have to like sneak
Pizzazzy,
add some pizzazz to the fact that they have to sneak and find this information on like some facility or something. And that's like the big thing I would do, I think. And then the other thing I said, oh, hi.
Keep going.
Okay. Oh, you want to keep that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I said, I wish in the final fight they showed more of the Hulk utilizing some smarts to juxtapose Abomination's savageness. Because this is the first time... Why are you doing that?
Sorry. You just look so fine today, bro.
Okay. But Bruce says, I'm going to try to aim it, basically, right?
Yeah.
But Emil Blonsky at this point has kind of become like twisted, and he's like, I don't care, I just want power. And this is the first time he's had this power. It's so much power. And I feel like he's like more savage than the Hulk at the end. He's just like smashing stuff more than the Hulk does. The Hulk just wants to be left alone. That's the big character trope for the Hulk in all of his media is he just wants to be left alone from society, but society keeps going, you're dangerous, we need to kill you. And he's like, I'm trying to get away from you.
Yeah.
So, but Emil Blonsky, the Abomination, what he wants is he just wants power and he just wants to like go off and have fun, basically. Twisted, sick fun, but like that's what he wants.
Yeah.
But the Hulk... Bruce has been doing this long enough, and even though the Hulk is a separate person, there's a duality there. Have Bruce bleed over into the Hulk. Show that Bruce is learning to control the Hulk, and he utilizes things like he does in the second fight in the movie, where he grabs the art pieces and uses them as shields and throws them at the cannons. And at the end, where he smashes the cop car apart to use it to like beat at the Abomination. And then there's the clap and stuff. I think just more of that, because it felt like a lot of the final fight was just a lot of smashing. And I mean,
listen,
it's
Hulk smash.
But I don't know what would be the right move there, but I think there should just be something where like the Hulk gets the upper hand on Abomination through some type of tactical fighting and some smarts.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think you can show that those two start coexisting, because even by Avengers 1, I mean, Hulk, he still smashes shit, right?
But he's not like
he's
fighting
not,
anyone around him. He's not scared of anyone around him.
But that's
he's
the thing.
Fighting aliens.
But here's the thing. He's also not. He's more tactical in Avengers, right? Like he understands orders from Captain America. He's tactical about where he jumps and what he smashes to get his line going, you know? And I think what you're saying makes total sense. Like, yeah, they built on it a little bit. Each battle, like, he's learning a little bit more how to... the Hulk side of him is learning how to control itself a little bit more and use some of the brains that are in there, right? I think that's the thing. If you were to do that, and I know they showed it a little bit, and I know you mentioned it a little bit, where it's like he's almost a little more savage, Abomination I'm talking about. No, I think have him be savage. He's because he's corrupted by power and all he's concerned about is I'm getting power, he's not trying to think strategically. He is a savage.
It's
not that he's more savage or he has any... he's savage, but he has some tactics. No, he's dangerous because he's a wild card. You don't know what he's going to do. He has no tactics.
It's also the first time he's ever become this. Bruce has been dealing with this at this point for like multiple years. So he's used to it. He knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Emil does not. This is the first time he's ever hulked out in this way.
Yeah.
So
I think you just put a more heavy emphasis on the fact that, well, Bruce has like years of training under his belt for this. You know, he understands how to use his smarts to infiltrate the Hulk side of him and really start using tactics. And you could have it be even like maybe he's trying to train or whatever, like as Bruce Banner trying to train motions as the Hulk style. When he is the Hulk, maybe there's just muscle memory there, you know. And really should these trying to control that side of the Hulk versus like Emil. Like, I know you say I know we talked about it, but really play up the fact he is a savage. He does not care to even remotely try and train. He just wants that actual physical power for all that it is and all that it's worth. I think that's the number one thing you can do in this movie. To really. To really like set the whole vibe there.
Yeah.
You know, that's. But I agree with all your rewrites so far.
Well, thank you. Do you have anything else beyond what I said?
Honestly, this is another movie where we're actually kind of in line a lot.
Sick.
I know we got some that we don't agree with.
Yeah. Which should actually be the next episode that comes out is
both.
We haven't recorded it yet, but I'm a little. Ooh.
Yeah, because I'm gonna fucking rip you a new one. You've been teasing that you were like, oh, I think you're gonna hate me for my opinion, and you know I praise this movie with all my life.
Yeah, I guess that's just our tease for next episode. We won't get into it, but it's a comic book movie, but not a Marvel comic book movie.
We'll leave it at that.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But yeah, I think also there's an unfortunate thing that came with the whole Universal Disney split, and this being now that they had to recast it, they really try to distance themselves from this movie.
And now but they, in recent years even since Civil War, Thunderbolt Ross came back, right?
That was cool.
And that was cool. And then you brought him back in Infinity War 2, and I liked that, you know? But now they're weirdly enamored by going, oh, let's see what we didn't really touch up in the early MCU and touch up on it, like Emil Bronsky.
Yeah. And they also brought back Betty for What If.
Yeah.
Isn't that one What If episode? They even recreate a scene from this movie, the Hulk movie, but Mark
with
Ruffalo.
the school, right?
Yeah, where he jumped. That's an
Yeah.
iconic moment. I'll say that. I remembered that growing up, and I thought that was sick. He's in the hallway.
Yeah.
The smoke fills up. You see his eyes, and then he jumps
I
out.
agree. I just
There's tape under here.
that was you, my guy.
I did not remember that. Don't look at it.
This is our set that I'll be real. Max mostly put together.
It's kind of just things thrown up. But yeah, I think it's almost kind of, it sucks that it's taken till now for them to come back to it, because like I really like Betty's character, but they just won't touch her because she was
No.
associated with Edward Norton's character, and she becomes the Red Hulk Red She-Hulk in the comics, and I think that would be cool.
Yep.
I like the Red Hulk and the Red She-Hulk character. I mean, that's why I have this comic. And for people who don't know, the Red Hulk is Thunderbolt
Ross. But he's
William Hurt, unfortunately, has recently
Yeah.
passed.
rest in
So
peace.
I don't know how
Great
they're going
actor.
to do that. Good actor. He's a great actor. He was in Vantage Point. He played the president. That's a super, like, random reference.
Well, I actually was thinking about this one thing because we talked about, or I remember earlier before we started recording, we talked about the Thunderbolts and like how are they going to do that without Red Hulk?
Yeah.
It just dawned on me when we were recording this episode, we could have it where Thunderbolt, like, not to pull the Nick Fury, there was an idea, but like Thunderbolt Ross had an idea for his own like more military controlled team called the Thunderbolts, right?
Mhm.
Now, obviously, Red Hulk can't be a part of that because man's murked. But who do you get to fill his shoes? I think She-Hulk is going to set up Abomination to fill those shoes.
Well, yeah, he's allegedly supposed to be a part of the Thunderbolts. And, I mean, he kind of has that vibe where he's like an army guy who, you know.
Broke bad.
Yeah, broke bad. He broke bad.
No
he
Walter
broke
White.
real bad.
No Walter White.
I will say, I think that this is. I think you could just recast. Disney's like terrified of recasting, but they've already done it.
Here's the thing: they have done it, but you got to also think they've recasted people more when they were smaller and not as big as they are. Now they're at a point where they're like, not to say Iron Man didn't do great at the box office and the Hulk and all that, right? And
But those early days.
but
they're
those were
still
the early
feeling
days
it out.
when they were still feeling stuff out, and B, they were small enough that they could say, "Hey, let's." I mean, Rhodey,
Yeah,
fully recasted.
Rhodey.
You hear the name Rhodey, you think Don Cheadle, right? It's an
Terrence
unfortunate
Howard.
true, but
Did you ever hear
Terrence
about
Howard.
Terrence Howard theories on math?
No.
I won't get into it. It's a whole thing, but people should look up what Terrence Howard believes. He thinks, I think he thinks 1 × 1 has to equal 2, and I think he like thinks he's made groundbreaking discoveries for math and geometry. Moist Critical has a whole video about it. It's great. You should check it out. I'm not trying to dog on Terrence Howard. It's just interesting. It's interesting.
Hell of a guy.
What a guy.
But that's the thing. That type of stuff was like the characters that they recasted. Edward Norton, Terrence Howard. Like, recasted them, right?
Mhm.
But that's also when they were a lot smaller. Before, like, I mean, let's be real. Yeah, like, they started really blowing up around Iron Man 2 and Captain America. That's when the MCU really started becoming this big pop culture phenomenon. But I think the point where it became a pop culture phenomenon was the first Avengers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time anyone's ever tried something like that. Like, you do a bunch of individual movies that lead to a big team-up movie like that.
Mhm.
And then the end credit of that, when you see Thanos, it's clear that they're like, oh, they have a plan to get to Thanos.
Yeah.
It's like, it was the first of its kind. I think that's when it became a pop culture phenomenon. I'd say from there on is where they had to be, if they were going to recast anyone, you got to be fucking careful about it.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, they're at a point now where, like, they rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. But I see it every time I log on the internet. Well, why don't they recast T'Challa? Why don't they recast T'Challa? First things first, don't recast Chadwick Boseman. You cannot replace that man's heart and soul.
That man was great.
That man was great. I mean,
I don't usually get sad when celebrities die.
That one
and
affected
people I don't
me.
know. That one made me sad because
genuinely, nobody knew except for his close family, by the way, about the cancer diagnosis. Not even Kevin Feige, not Ryan Coogler, nobody.
Yeah.
That made it even more tragic. But B, on top of that, the sheer passion he had, like, unfortunately got wiped out due to Marvel marketing. But the sheer passion he had for playing Black Panther alone, was like it's one of those few times that like you see an actor have like the real passion to play a role, and it rubs off on you, the viewer. You're like, oh, I'm getting chills thinking about it even.
And
right now.
did you ever hear
Like, look at that shit.
Did I ever
That's
tell
fucking
you-
goosebumps,
Did I
yo.
ever tell you about the thing that's really sad
Huh.
about his cancer diagnosis? He did a panel after finish filming Black Panther,
Mhm.
but before it had come out. This is so depressing. This is gonna be a downer.
Oh no.
He did a lot of Make-A-Wish Foundation stuff for that, and there's
Yeah.
apparently 2 younger kids who are diagnosed with cancer, and they were pretty terminal, and they really liked the chance to get to meet Chadwick, the Black Panther, and whatnot.
Mhm.
And their parents came up to Chadwick and they said this really means a lot to them, and they're just trying to hold on long enough to be able to see the movie. And they died before the movie came out.
Oh my god.
Keep in mind, Chadwick was diagnosed with his cancer in I think late 2016, and Black Panther filmed and came out in 2018.
So he was
doing all
cancer
of this,
too.
he also had cancer. And when he told that story at the panel, he started crying. And it's like everyone was like, "Oh man, that is really sad and tough to go through." But to then also realize he's dealing with the same problem himself. It hits me in here. It hurts. It's so sad. But I think
But
the bright side of all that is I think he did make a really, really good lasting impression on everybody.
he was only in 3 projects as like a really big character.
Yeah, for Marvel.
Endgame, like he was in it a little bit at the end, but I wouldn't even say he was a big character in it. You know,
He did.
He was in Infinity War, he was in Civil War, and he was in his own movie. And if you can make that big an impression in one solo movie and side character appearances in 2 other movies, that's big.
And if you can make a giant studio not want to recast one of their main characters,
like seriously, you can. I'm even getting chills thinking about his passion.
can
Like
see
seriously,
it.
you
I
see
can
those
see all
fucking
those
goosebumps.
bumps. you look like you got chicken skin.
I know. No, seriously, like the passion he had, it's chilling.
Yeah.
It's one of those few times it runs over, and I think that's one of the times you can't recast.
And
him.
also, I loved him in 42.
But
That's
also,
where he got
I
his
mean,
start.
Think about the backlash they get if they were to recast him.
I know, yeah. And
You can't.
if people should really watch all of his stuff. 42
He's
was great.
amazing.
Get On Up. I think, yeah, that's the one where he was James Brown.
I think he's one of the
That
few
one's
actors that,
great.
like, even if there's a bad script that he's in, he shines in it.
Yeah, like I wasn't
21
a huge,
Bridges.
I wasn't a huge fan of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but he killed it in that.
21 Bridges, the one that the Russo brothers produced.
I never saw all of it, but the parts I did see, I was like, Chadwick's great.
He's great. The script itself is kind of
What was the other one? The Five Bloods. Not
Yeah.
my favorite. Not my favorite. Spike
But
Lee movie.
Chadwick?
But Chadwick was the shining star in that.
Chadwick kills it.
I mean, honestly, that whole cast is amazing.
I know.
For The Five Bloods, I wasn't a huge fan of some of the choices in it. I don't think it was a bad movie by any chance, but oh my god, Chadwick was great. I love Chadwick Boseman.
Anyway, yeah.
So what'd you rate the Hulk?
Very great segue. Smooth as shit.
So, I bet people didn't even notice.
I know what I would rate it.
I think honestly,
You want me to tell you my rating?
is it a 7.5?
Ooh,
I was close.
really close, really close. What would you say? What would you say? So, tell it to the interviewers here.
I would give it an 8.
Oh, he'd give it an 8.
It's honestly, it's on par with Thor 1 for me. Like I think they're both like equally like, oh, this is good, this is grounded.
I think I actually gave
Good
Thor 1 a
versions of-
7.5 too.
That's funny.
Yeah,
So we'll average it to my rating.
7.75 or 8.
And I think the worst thing for going back to what I originally was saying with recastings and stuff, I think the worst thing that came from this universal problem and the recasting problem was that the sacrificing of these supporting characters. We haven't seen Betty Ross. We've seen General Ross like twice.
He
and it's only
started
been
coming
quick.
back, but then
Unfortunately,
he's unfortunately
William
passed
Hurt
away.
has passed.
Emil Bronsky, he's
back. That's
Shang-Chi,
cool. I
he's in
love Tim
She-Hulk.
Roth. And then also, it's funny. Was it Ty Burrell? He plays Phil in Modern Family, and he's
Yeah.
in this. He's Betty Ross's like love interest.
Mhm.
That is Doc Samson. And for people who don't know, he is a Hulk character, but he basically is just a buff guy with green hair. And the longer his hair is, I think, like the longer and greener his hair is, the more like strong he becomes. He
Comic
doesn't become
books.
bigger. It's just goofy. And I love it. And I was like, just imagining Ty Burrell, buff, long green hair. It's hilarious. Um,
Oh wow.
but like, there's like a lot of Hulk supporting characters that in the comics that I think are super interesting and it would be really cool in the Avengers world. And I just don't know how or if we'll ever get to a lot of them because
Yeah.
of this kind of hurdle that has been put in.
Universal.
Because of that.
Now that said, I don't know if you heard one last thing before we sign off and all.
Yeah.
Rumors have been going around.
Oh my goodness.
World War Hulk series.
That's
the
right. I have
first
heard of that.
solo Hulk project, technically, because it would be starring Mark Ruffalo.
So, I have a theory about that too, because I was thinking, I didn't bring it up in Thor Ragnarok, but it has to deal with Thor Ragnarok. I just didn't bring it up because we were already talking a lot there. Maybe I did. I think I might have touched on it briefly. The whole time thing is weird
Yes.
because on Sakaar, the planet, time passes differently. And like there's that whole moment where they're going through the Bifrost, Thor and Loki.
Mhm.
Loki gets pushed out first. Maybe like 10, 15 seconds later, Thor falls out. It's been 2 weeks for Loki since that happened. So if the Hulk has been missing for 2 whole Earth years,
How long has he been in Zakar?
and for people who don't know, with Gladiator Hulk and World War Hulk storyline, that birthed the son of Hulk, Scar. And in the comics, they did really weird comic book logic to motivate why. It's a whole thing I won't get into, but like Sakaar, his mom blew up while she was pregnant with him, but like he was born into the planet and then he emerged a couple years later, but he was like already 14 or something. It's weird. But with that logic of it being 2 Earth years, but it would probably be like a lot of years he was on Scar. And people don't seem to age because the Grand Master says, "Oh, I've been here. I'm like millions of years old."
Yeah.
That Scar, his son, could be like a lot older. And Scar's whole motivation is he's angry his dad abandoned him, but Bruce also didn't know in the comics, and in this, obviously, wouldn't know he has a son.
Yeah.
But Scar's whole thing is he hates his dad for that, and he wants to fight his dad. He wants to prove his strength as a warrior and whatnot and beat up his dad.
Well,
And I think that would be a fun, interesting character to kind of throw into the mix,
yeah.
that have the Scar, son of Hulk, come in, and also since they're doing the Young Avengers, he could be the
Or it's
Hulk
rumored they
character
are.
for Young Avengers. And there's Hulkling, which is part of the Young Avengers, but he's kind of a weird, confusing character. There's a whole thing there. So I think something like Scar would be an easier young Hulk
Yeah.
replacement if they wanted to go that way.
I agree. I could get that.
I think it'd be interesting.
Oh, wow.
Hulk.
Hey, y'all know what we do here. Y'all know what happens on Earth stays on Earth. We gonna put it in reverse.
Is that some Kung Fu Kenny right there?
Kung Fu Kenny now.
All right, guys. We kind of talked about a lot today.
Yeah, we did.
Talked about the Hulk and a lot about the
How long have we
future of the
been recording?
MCU. It's probably like an hour, 40 minutes, I bet.
Hour and a half only.
Oh, what do you know?
Run those numbers up. Let's keep talking. No, I can't.
Keep going. But yeah, so this is kind of a little bit more than just talking about the movie. So I hope we didn't bore anyone. But I'm really it's interesting to talk about some of this stuff.
It is, and I think it was also very interesting that we got to talk about more than just the movie this time, especially with our side rants about recasting.
Yeah.
Our big discussion in the beginning about Marvel.
Put in the
announcements.
comments down below if you could have any Marvel character show up as one of the unknown 6 slots. What would it be? And tell me why.
Also,
I'll read all the comments, I swear.
also,
We probably will get that.
let us know. Comment on our YouTube channel. Tweet at us. Reply on Instagram posts. What movies do y'all want to see us cover?
Oh,
we
yeah,
have
that's
our
also
list.
a good point. I did want to bring that up.
We have our list, and we have stuff that we want to do. But what do y'all want to see?
We would
Let us
love
know,
any
and
interaction
we'll
from any of you
watch
guys,
it.
any ideas, any thoughts, anything you want to say. We will read them all, and we'll respond to them all to a certain extent. I don't want I don't want people feeling left out. But I will genuinely try to read all the comments. He'll genuinely try to read a lot of the comments and whatnot, and we'll try to.
Yeah, I will. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know how it is. You know how we do. You know how it works. This is the C. Gregory. I'm sorry.